If you know you want to make incredible work, but you're not sure what your voice is, what your style is, or what you should be painting, this video is for you. If you're new here, my name is Chelsea, and this is exactly what I do. I help artists to identify exactly what their big goals with painting are, chart a custom roadmap to reaching that goal, and make sure you get there. So today I want to talk about probably the most effective exercise that I have ever seen to helping artists to get here. It's something that I put all of my students through, and increasingly, I really like to see this from artists who are interested in working together with me because it can help us to get really clear on what your goal is so that I can confirm whether or not I can help you to reach that goal. So whether you are DIYing this, as in you want to figure out what your goal is on your own and try to go ahead and chart your own roadmap to it, or you are interested in working together with me and you want to dive into this exercise, this video is going to walk you through the exact steps to go through the most important exercise that I have found in helping artists to identify your goals. So let's dive right into the exercise itself. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you might already be familiar with this exercise, but today I'm going to be going through completely from start to finish every single baby step along the way that you need to take in order to create a vision board for your goal art style. I'm going to be taking a look at Pinterest to put together this vision board. You can absolutely do this so many different ways. You can use printouts and put it on a cork board. You can save images to your computer. But I personally find that using Pinterest to develop an inspiration board or a vision board for where you want to take your artwork is really just a super easy all-in-one solution for this challenge. The reason that I really encourage artists to put together a vision board for your goal art style is that a picture really is worth 1,000 words in this case. It's one thing to say, I want to paint loosely, or I want to paint portraits, or I want to create really realistic portraits or incredible narratives, but that really doesn't tell us that much. It doesn't tell us the style of composition, it doesn't tell us the kind of colors you're going to use, it doesn't tell us anything about the brushwork or the techniques that you use to put the paint down. Instead, putting together a vision board of artwork can tell us so many things with every single painting that you put on this board. So today I'm going to be walking through exactly how you do this. If you are new to Pinterest, if you are not sure how to put together a vision board, if you are not sure what your style is or have no idea how to start, don't worry because we're going to be looking through all of that today. So, kicking right off, first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and navigate to Pinterest. So on my screen right now, I have the Pinterest homepage. I also have my Instagram page pulled up because we're going to be using Instagram as an example of how to pin some of these paintings to your inspiration board. From your Pinterest homepage, you're going to go ahead and go to the upper right-hand corner where you should see a little avatar for your account. You're going to click this, and this is going to take you to your page. As you can see, this is my Pinterest account. I've had this for ages. I have way too many boards to even keep track of or organize at this point. But today we're going to assume that you are starting from scratch. So once you are at your homepage, the next thing we need to do is create a board onto which you're going to start saving artwork that really inspires you. To do this, from your homepage, you're going to take a look at this little plus icon that's over to the right. If you click it, you should see this little drop down that says create, and you're going to go down to board. And the first board that I'm going to have you create, I like to refer to this as a master inspiration board, but essentially this is a giant repository into which you put all of the art that inspires you. So I'm going to call this 2024 Master Inspiration Board. You're welcome to call it whatever you like, but make sure, however you name it, that it's clear that this board is meant to house everything that you're excited about. If you want to share this board with me, make sure that you uncheck or you leave unchecked the option to keep the board secret. If the board is secret, I won't be able to see it. So make sure that if you plan on sharing this with anyone, myself included, that you uncheck this box. From here, you can go ahead and hit create, and your board will be ready. Now, It's going to go ahead and suggest some pins that you can add. These are probably just general suggestions from Pinterest. So just go ahead and skip over this for now because this won't give you what you're actually looking for. Okay, so our first board is made. Now we need to go ahead and begin pinning things to this board. So to start off, I'm going to use a couple of different examples. I'm going to pin some images from a general art website. I'm going to pin some images from Instagram, and I'm also going to upload some images that have been saved to my computer. I find that these are the most common ways that artists want to get images into a Pinterest board. There are certainly others, but this should give you a really good overview of how to do this. And regardless of what kind of board you are pinning to, you can refer back to this little section as a tutorial on how to get artwork onto any Pinterest board. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and share with you how you can save images from an art website. Now in my case, I'm going to be saving them directly from my website, but any artist website should work for this. So kicking right off, I'm going to go ahead and in my Pinterest board, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the page. I'm going to click the little plus sign that says create a pin or add a section when you mouse over it. So we're going to click the option to create a pin. I'm going to choose the image URL or the page URL for the painting that I want to pin. Click Save Ideas from Website, paste in that URL and hit the little arrow. And then from here, it'll let me go ahead and select which image I want to add. You're welcome to go ahead and add a title or add notes to this, but for the sake of this exercise, it isn't necessary. It's just if you want to have that note and say, if you want to have the title and the artist's name, you can absolutely do that, and then you will hit save. Now, one other way you can do this from a website that I find is really useful is to actually have a Pinterest extension. So you'll notice that when I hover over this image on my website, and I'll do it with another image here for the sake of demonstrating. If I hover over this image, there's already this little Pinterest button in the upper left-hand corner. I have that because I have added a custom Pinterest extension to Chrome. So to do this, what you will do is you can literally, if you use the Chrome browser, you can type in Pinterest extension Chrome. This very first Google result says save to Pinterest. It is a Chrome URL. You can go ahead and click this and simply follow the instructions to get it installed. In my case, I'm already using Chrome. I'm already using this Pinterest extension for Chrome. So I don't have the option to add it because I already have it. But if you don't have it, you will see a button that lets you add this to your browser and instructions with how to go ahead and get started with it. Once that's installed, you will also see this little Pinterest save icon whenever you mouse over an image that you could potentially save to Pinterest. So in my case, I already have this option available. You'll see when I hover over it, it says Save to Board 2024 Master Inspiration. It might auto-suggest that board for you, but just in case it doesn't, what you will do is you click the little down arrow, you will select the board in question, and go ahead and click Save. You'll see the little button spins around there, and then it will confirm that it is saved. And if we go over to our inspiration board, we should now see both images saved. So these are two different ways that you can save from an artist's website in case you are inspired by their work and you want to go ahead and save it for yourself so you can remember to take a look at this. Now, one thing that you might notice as you start to add more pins to this board is Pinterest will actually start suggesting pins for you based on what you have added. It uses a pretty sophisticated algorithm to predict what you're going to be interested in, but all you have to do is click this little section, find some more ideas for this board, and as you go around, you can simply click the pin button on paintings that you really enjoy, and these will get added to your board. Now I'll click the little back arrow to go back, and I can see that I already have some more paintings that have been added. Now, one other way of pinning that I'm going to show you is to pin from Instagram, since a lot of us actually follow a lot of artists on Instagram. A lot of the art that we love is saved there. So in order to save from Instagram, I find the easiest way to do this is with the Pinterest extension for Chrome. So I'll show you that first, and then I'll show you a workaround in case you do not have this extension. So here I have a collection of Instagram posts that I have saved because they are beautiful paintings that I want to revisit. In this case, I have a Nancy Guzik painting that she recently shared that I thought was absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this to my inspiration board as well. Now, what you will do if you want to pin something from Instagram using the Pinterest Chrome extension is first you're going to click on the post in question. Then you will click on the Pinterest Chrome extension button. You will go ahead and choose the board from the drop-down that you want to pin to and hit save. Now, sometimes if a post has multiple images, it will ask you to choose which image you want to save. So I will show you that really quickly. Here is a Sargent close-up that I want to save. Once again, I'm going to go up to the little Pinterest extension for Chrome button. Once I have the post pulled up, it's going to ask me to select which image I want to save. Actually, I think I'm going to save the full-size version rather than the close-up. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to select the board that I want to pin it to. And over here on the right, it might take just a second. And I see this post saved. Now, in case you do not have this extension and you want to save posts from Instagram, what you'll do is you'll scroll down to the bottom, select the create a pin or add a section plus sign button that's there. Under create, hit pin. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up this beautiful Alex Venezia painting. I'm just going to copy the URL of this Instagram post. Once I have it pulled up, click Save from URL in Pinterest, paste in the Instagram post and hit that little arrow button. It'll let me select the image to add, and all I have to do is hit Add One Pin. And again, adding the title is totally optional. And here is the completed post. So once you have successfully created that pin, all you have to do is hit the back button on your browser until you get back to your board, and there should be your pin. Now, the final way that you can add painting images to an inspiration board is to upload them from your computer. So once again, on my inspiration board here, I'm going to scroll to the bottom. I'm going to click this little plus button at the end of the page that says create a pin or add a section. I'm going to choose the option to create a pin. And once you have this page open, you can simply click this box to choose a file from your computer. It'll pull up this little dialog box here. In my case, I'm going to go over to my downloads folder. I'm going to scroll down to one of my recent paintings here and just hit open. Alternatively, you can actually drag and drop an image into this box if you're familiar with using your computer in that way, but you essentially will follow all of the instructions for previous pins. You can add a title and description if you want. You can add a link if you want. On your board, you do want to make sure that you select the board that you want the pin to go into. That is important. And from here, all you have to do is hit publish. As you can see, this option takes a little bit more time. That being said, this is a great option if you've already been saving images to your computer and you aren't necessarily sure where to find them on the internet. So once you've done this, to navigate back to your board, again, you're just going to click this button in the upper right-hand corner. You're going to find the board on your Pinterest homepage, and all you have to do is click it, and you will see these images all in their designated spot. Once again, the more you pin the more sophisticated the algorithm's recommendations for new pins to add are going to become. So this is a really great tool to essentially revisit as you go through this process. And as you see paintings that you like on the suggested pins page, all you have to do is click the little pin icon that's in the upper right hand corner of any of these images, and it will automatically be added to the board that you had pulled up. All right, so now that we know how to actually get these pins into Pinterest, regardless of what board you're pinning them to, let's go ahead and talk about how you want to choose what paintings to put on here. So my goal for this master inspiration board, as I mentioned before, is for this to act as a giant repository for all of the artwork that you love. This can be art in any medium, it can have any kind of message, it can be done in any kind of technique. Essentially, any kind of art that moves you and that you want to be able to go back and look at over and over, this is the place to put it. There really aren't further guidelines here. The reason that I have these guidelines for this particular board is that I find that as we go through the process of narrowing down our focus, sometimes we're really hesitant to essentially turn our backs on some of the artwork that we really love, just because it's not the kind of artwork that we personally want to make. We worry that we're going to lose the power or inspiration of those particular images. So I really like to have two different inspiration boards in order to mitigate this, essentially. By having a giant master inspiration board that acts as this huge repository that isn't filtered down in any way, you can trust that any artwork that you really love, that you really want to revisit, is going to be here. You're not going to lose it. That being said, once you have saved images of all the art that you love onto this board, and trust me, this can take time. There's a reason that you're not watching me do this with every single painting or every single piece of art that I love, because I would be here for days. But once that is done and you can't think of a single other work of art that you really want to have on this board, now from here we go through the process of curating this down in order to drill down to understanding exactly what we most want to create. Once you have a master inspiration board completed, the next step is for us to create a new board. And this is going to be your curated inspiration board. At least that's what I like to call it. This board represents your absolute favorite paintings from your master inspiration board. And these are the ones that are going to ultimately show us what style you're headed toward. Now, in order to go ahead and create this second curated down inspiration board, we need to go ahead and actually create it. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and navigate back to the Pinterest homepage for myself by clicking this little avatar icon in the upper right hand corner. I'll go ahead and click the plus icon and say create board. And I'm gonna say, I can't type, 2024 sample curated inspiration board. Again, I am leaving this box unchecked to keep it secret in case I want to share this with anyone else. And you might want to do the same thing in case you want to share it with other artists or you want to share it with me. Once this board is created, again, we are just going to skip over this step. So we're going to say done. And once we've done this, we need to go ahead and navigate back to our master inspiration board that we've put together. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an old master inspiration board that I made several years ago. So here on the left, I have an old master inspiration board that I put together. As you can see, by this time I had already narrowed this down to make sure they were all oil paintings. But once again, your master inspiration board might have all different kinds of art on it. It could have sculpture, it could have watercolor, it could have drawings, it could have digital art on it. All of these things are valid. Just know that in looking at this example, mine is already a little bit filtered down. Yours might not be, and that is totally okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this board, one thing that I really want to do in order to see as many paintings as I can at one time is I'm going to click this little button near the top of the page. This is a settings button. It has like a graphical representation of 2 different sliders. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to make sure under view options that I switch it to compact. As you can see, if it's default, you can only see a handful of paintings at a time, but if I switch it to compact, suddenly that number more than doubles. And I'll go ahead and scroll down the page a little bit so I can see as many of these paintings as I can in one go. Now, in order to go ahead and start curating down your list of favorites here, there are a couple different ways that we can do this. What I find is most helpful most of the time is to ask myself, of all of these paintings, do I have a painting on here that is my absolute favorite? And I'm going to start with that one. For instance, right here, I have this Richard Schmid painting. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hover over it, and you'll see it has the save button in the upper right hand corner, and there's a little bit of text to the left along with a down arrow. I'm going to go ahead and hit that down arrow. From here, I'm going to go ahead and select my curated inspiration board that I've put together and hit save. And over on that board, I should simply be able to refresh, and I will see this Richard Schmid painting there. So once you have your first pin, the next step is to go back to this master inspiration board and to go ahead and find your second favorite piece that you would really like to have on your curated down board. So scrolling through here, I'm going to go ahead and choose this Jeremy Lepking piece. And again, I just hit that down arrow over top of that image. And by now, this curated board should pop up in your suggestions. And if we go over and refresh this page, we should see that both of these paintings are here. Now, you will essentially continue on this way until you feel that the board encompasses all your most favorites. Another way that you can go about doing this is to imagine that you had to cut this board down by half. You know, which half of pieces wouldn't make the cut? Then you imagine you cut it in half one more time. Then you imagine cutting it in half one more time. And so on until you have just a couple dozen pieces that have made it to your curated board. I find that some people do really well when I ask them what their favorites are, and I find some people do really well when I ask them what are the bottom pieces that aren't making the cut here. Now, a couple of considerations to help you in curating this down are first and foremost medium. So if you know that you want to work in oil, but you have some digital pieces or some watercolor pieces, you can go ahead and safely plan on not including those in your curated inspiration board because that is not the medium that you want to work in. Similarly, if a piece was done in a technique that you don't want to follow, so let's say you look at a painting and you absolutely love it, but it is painstaking in the amount of detail that it has, or it uses a technique that you know probably took the artist months, and you want to be creating paintings in one sitting, well, that is a good indicator that you should not pin those particular paintings either, because the pieces that make it to this curated board should be like absolute home runs. You should love them because they're beautiful, they have the kind of subject or narrative or messaging that you're interested in, they have the color, they have the brushwork, they have the technique, and they're all done in the medium that you really want to work in. Once you're at the point where this board has a couple dozen examples of what you're looking for, I would say a dozen is a good starting point. I would say 30 is probably the upper limit of what you might want to kick off with. I have a much bigger curated board than this, but I've also known what my goal has been for quite a while. So I find that starting out with between 12 and 30 gives a really good guideline of where you're going, and over time you might wind up finding more examples to expand that board with without kind of diluting its focus. Let me go ahead and give you a glimpse of what this might look like when you have completely curated your board down. So on the right, I have my most recent iteration of my curated inspiration board. On the left, I have this very old master inspiration board. Now on the surface, when I go ahead and scroll down and look at these side by side, they seem to have a lot in common. You know, these are mostly oil paintings. They feature really vivid color and light, but they still have a lot of subdued tones so that they don't feel overly loud in their color choices. These are largely portraits and figures with some cloudscapes mixed into them. That being said, over time and through doing this exercise, I have really narrowed down this approach to brushwork, mark making, my value structure, my compositions. And the result is that this curated board that I have on the right is much more clear in its focus, and it tells me a lot about the direction that I am most excited to go in my own artwork. When I have my students do this exercise, or when I meet with artists who are interested in working with me and I give them this exercise as homework first before we make a decision on whether or not working together is a fit for both of us, essentially every time without fail, I find that artists are really blown away by the insights they gained from doing this exercise. Artists who felt really pulled in so many different directions, even as far as saying, well, maybe I want to be a textile artist, or maybe I want to be a watercolorist, or maybe I want to be an illustrator, or maybe I want to be an oil painter. Oftentimes in doing this exercise, they really can put those questions or those doubts out of their mind and realize there really is one direction that they're most drawn to. And when you keep in mind factors such as the medium and the way in which the pieces are made, or the techniques that were used to make those paintings, and you make sure that aligns with what you know you're interested in doing or how you're interested in working, oftentimes the revelations that you gain from doing this exercise are really, really powerful. Now, from here, you might be wondering what we can do with an inspiration board once you have put it together. I have an entire video all about what to do with a completed inspiration board that I will link up in the corner, so make sure that you check that out. And this can also be a really great first step if you are interested in getting some help on your painting journey, or making sure that you have a custom-made roadmap to make sure that you reach your goals. If you're interested in getting help on that path, this is exactly what I do. So if you want to find out more about what it's like working with me, or you want to go ahead and apply to see if we could be a fit to work together, make sure to check out the links in the description. I actually have an option in the application process where you can put an inspiration board that you've put together. I find it's actually really fun on those preliminary calls with me to take a look at your board together and talk about your goal and talk about what I see the steps being to help to get you there. So if you're interested in having that kind of conversation with me, make sure to check out the link in the description. Let me know what comments or questions you have about creating an inspiration board to help you guide your art journey down in the comment section. I'm here to help, and will be interested to see how I can either clarify things that I've talked about here, or just speak to questions that might have come up for you along the way. All right, until next time, happy painting.